today we're going to do a web series review for Four Pals and a Dog. So this is a vlog style web series following a 4-person friend group and their possibly paranormal investigations. This is loosely based on Scooby-Doo. It's the first web series I've ever seen that has been based on the Scooby-Doo animations. I was really excited to see several of the call-outs that they put in there, some of the references, whether they're visual or verbal, so that was really neat. Unfortunately, there are no dogs actually shown in this web series, but I think that it still comes across all the same. So one thing that I really liked about this series, it definitely was a good variety of characterizations. We had characters that were maybe more outgoing versus characters that were a little more subdued. We had characters that played more of the reasonable, finger-wagging, logical role versus characters who were a little more fantastical and imaginative. So I also liked the fact that the characters played off each other so well and really filled a lot of different reactions to the possibly paranormal things that were going on in their lives. And character contrast is really important when you have a web series that's kind of ensemble based. You definitely don't want to feel like characters are superfluous or that one character is really just a composite of other traits that the other characters also have. So I think this web series did a really good job of showing why each character was important and why they all worked together so well as a quartet. I really like how this series exhibited the paranormal behaviors. So the premise of the series is that these 4 college students are investigating whether certain things are actually the doing of ghosts or spirits or something like that versus do they have a logical explanation. And several of the cast members kind of move towards more, this is definitely a paranormal thing. And then the other, Sydney, really is more focused on there must be a logical explanation for this. With a vlog style series, especially one that's maybe more low budget, I was really impressed with how this series did portray the possibly paranormal goings-on, especially in the later episodes where there's a poltergeisty thing kind of happening and things are flying around the room. I thought all of that was really cool. I really loved how they handled it. Other mystery web series or even supernatural web series I've seen, even if you do have a high enough budget to try to do something maybe more explicit in front of the camera, it can kind of come off as cheesy or just awkward to watch. And I thought this was very relatable. It reminded me a lot of found footage style horror movies where you might not be able to see everything that's happening or understand everything that's happening, but it definitely seems really realistic. I equally loved and felt attached to the 2 characters who have the most dueling personalities, Sydney and Sam. And I think that's a really difficult thing to do where you have characters that approach things so differently, have such different ways of seeing the world, and yet they're both so likable and you just want to be friends with both of them and you feel deeply attached to who they are. Obviously the other characters, Iris and Ace, are just as wonderful, but I think it really does speak to the strength of the writing that these characters were all so enjoyable even though they had very different ways of reacting to the situations that they were in. Making the characters part of marginalized communities, I felt that this web series did a good job of actually including that in terms of how they reacted to what was going on. Some web series that I've watched, and I've talked about this a little bit on Tumblr, I've talked about it in other reviews that I've done, I don't like when series have characters who are part of marginalized communities solely for the purpose of just checking off that box or scratching it off as if it's representation bingo. I feel like obviously if somebody is experiencing something with the lens of a particular identity, not only is that identity going to affect their experience, but also not everyone within that group is also going to have the same experience. You're not going to want to cast something as very monolithic, but you also don't want to ignore the fact that someone's identity is intrinsically tied to how they experience anything in the world. So I think this web series did a good job of not being very animalicious in how they're pushing those messages, but also they're not shying away from the fact that the characters being women, the characters being people of color does affect how they're approaching the mystery, and also when people try to prevent them from solving the mystery. Some things I wish wish that I had seen in this web series was I wanted more visual representation with regards to the first couple of mysteries. The final mystery that they solved I thought was very well done, depicting the ghostly behavior, really using the camera and the vlog style format to showcase what was going on. I wish the first pair of mysteries had also done that. A lot of that was more sort of, we are back now from having seen this thing and now we're going to describe it to you. And a little bit of that is not a bad thing. It's also kind of unbelievable that the camera would be filming every time something happened, but I really would have liked to see the first two mysteries be portrayed as creatively as the last one was. I also felt that after a certain point, at least for me, the captions weren't working as clearly. It wasn't super clear who was talking, and especially with vlog style series, if you're a certain distance from the camera, it might be really quiet. I might be misunderstanding what you're saying. If a lot of people are screaming or talking at once, it can be hard. So that's just something where if you're going to have captions in your web series, you really need to make sure that they're consistent all the way through, that they do say what you wanted to say, so someone's not using captions up to a certain point and then finds the video very difficult to watch. I would watch this web series if you really like comedic series that also have a mystery vibe. Some web series out there that take a mystery bent are a little bit darker or go more towards sort of mythology. This web series is pretty light, I would say. Obviously, somebody else might watch it and have a different perspective just based on the topics that they cover, but that's what I would suggest. If you like comedic mystery web series, I would give this one a try. If you also want a web series that has a cast of color where they're also LGBTQ, they're not shying away from how those things affect their reality, and they're not simply being tokenized, I would definitely watch this series. It's very rare for me to find series where the majority of the cast are people of color, so this is definitely one that I really enjoyed and would like to highlight. Also, if you like vlog style series, I would definitely watch this web series. They use a good job of acknowledging the camera and the audience as another character and really pulling that into how they're framing the episodes. Would definitely suggest this if that's the style that you are drawn to. If you prefer TV style series, more cinematic style is another way of saying that, I probably wouldn't watch this series. They're very conscious of the audience. They talk directly to the audience, directly to the camera. So if that's something that you don't like, then I would probably not watch this series. If you are also not a fan of having people come back later and tell you something happened, if you prefer seeing all of the action happen right in front of you in real time, then this also might not be the web series for you. And finally, if you prefer more of a high school setting, I know several of the Scooby-Doo animated series are set where they're a little bit younger. And also if you're looking for maybe even more of a post-college experience where there's a little bit of a different approach to the stresses that they're experiencing or their life goals, then this is probably not the web series for you. It's set very specifically in a college setting, and the original premise of even filming the mysteries is based on receiving college credit. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. If there were things you liked or disliked about this web series that you would like to share with me, I'm very open to that. If you have a web series you'd like to recommend to me, please do that as well. So I'll see you next time.